Namaste, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. So as promised, today we're finishing up our series on the ascension spiral by talking about the third and final level of healing, which again I call causal purification. And so this is healing upon the level of karma through the acceptance and the integration of our challenging life experiences that serve as catalysts to our spiritual growth. And so as I mentioned last week, we're going to use the 3 beliefs system that we learned to get right to the heart of our life catalysts and discover the lesson hiding within them. So if you haven't seen the last episode yet on the 3 beliefs, then you definitely need to watch that episode before continuing with this one. So with that being said, please join me for this 13th episode of Spiritual Intelligence as we discuss the powerful practice of utilizing catalyst. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is sort of the ultimate tool for karmic healing, as it will provide you with a simple blueprint for analyzing and deciphering what the core life lesson is in any catalyst that you're experiencing in your life. Now, you still have to do the work yourself, of course, but these tools I'm going to be providing you with today are sort of like the perfect game plan to approaching any difficult life catalyst that you're working through in your life. So in order to understand how this practice really works, let's take another quick review of the ascension spiral and the 3 levels of healing within it. So as we said in the previous episodes, we begin to spiral upwards in our healing process the moment we first become aware that our physical feelings and emotional reactions and triggers to life are actually energetic blockages within us that need to be healed. This represents the first level of healing on the gross body or physical body, becoming aware of your emotions and then meeting them with love and acceptance. The second level of healing is the subtle body, which represents the mental body or the mind. And this is becoming aware of our thoughts and stories and identifications and attachments, and observing these things without identifying with them. This is subtle purification. And finally, the third level of healing is the causal body, which is where we must begin learning the karmic lessons that life is teaching to us through our actual experiences, so that our actions and behavior patterns towards life change and become a pure reflection of the love and light of the one infinite creator. So we can understand the causal body as essentially the soul or the karmic body. It is that body that carries all of our karmas from lifetime to lifetime. And so we have these 3 levels that we heal upon: the level of emotions, thoughts, and actions. And again, action is just another word for karma. So we talked about gross purification in our episode on shadow work. We talked about subtle purification last week in our episode on the 3 beliefs. And so this episode is going to be fully dedicated to causal purification or karmic healing. Now, our karma is created by our actions in space-time. And our actions really come from our thoughts and feelings, right? But we can say that a thought or a feeling that is just observed and not acted upon leaves no karmic footprint in the universe. But when we are identified with our thoughts and feelings, we act them out in time and space. And every action we take based in thoughts and feelings of the person essentially shows the universe, I believe I'm a separate, lacking, limited self because I'm acting like one. So we're leaving these karmic footprints behind us that all eventually must be healed. And so you might say, well, how does this happen? And the simple answer is by learning the life lessons that our life is teaching us, and then beginning to pass these karmic tests when they reappear in our life experiences. In the Law of One, Ra refers to our subtle body, gross body, and causal body as a mind-body-spirit complex. And so since we exist on these 3 different levels, it stands to reason that healing must take place on all three of these levels as well. And so we heal our emotions in the body, we heal our thoughts in the mind, and we heal our karma in the spirit. The causal body is the soul, pure spirit without identity. It is also called the bliss body in Hinduism, because when we liberate it from all of the karma that it is carrying, our soul becomes a body of pure bliss consciousness. It is a pure extension of the source. And so these three levels of healing are also congruent with the three disciplines of the personality from the Law of One. Know yourself, accept yourself, and become the creator. At the gross level, or bodily level, we heal by loving and accepting ourselves. At the subtle, or mind level, we heal by knowing ourselves. And at the causal level, or the spirit, we heal by becoming the creator, by freeing our spirit of all the karmas it's been carrying for lifetimes. And then we begin to experience our divine essence. We begin to know ourselves as something far beyond a physical body or a mind, but as an eternal spirit, an extension of the source. Healing the causal body leads us to the fourth state called Turiya. This is the great causal body, which is pure infinite consciousness, which pre-exists even the soul or the spirit. So when the three lower bodies are healed and purified, we move into the fourth and final body, and we become the creator. This is self-realization, the ultimate goal of a human lifetime. So now that we hopefully have a better understanding of the framework that we're looking at here, of the three levels of healing, body, mind, and spirit, or gross, subtle, and causal, let's talk now about the practice we're going to go through today of the Catalyst Journal. Now, just like the three beliefs, this is also a practice that up until now, I've only taught to my masterclass students. And if you end up joining 4D University, we're going to spend the majority of our time in our weekly Q&A calls going through one another's Catalyst Journals together and applying these practices to get right at the heart of the lesson that life is teaching us. And so although this system is very simple and direct, it takes a lot of repetition and consistent practice to cultivate the skill and the spiritual intelligence of analyzing your life experiences. But with enough practice, you become like a wizard at doing this. And that is the power of this practice of the Catalyst Journal. It begins to make you feel like you've discovered a kind of magic formula for karmic healing. So the practice of the Catalyst Journal is 4 basic steps. Step number 1 is the Catalyst Review. Sometime before you go to bed, you're going to pull out your Catalyst Journal and spend 5 to 10 minutes just mentally reviewing any catalysts you experienced that day and journaling about them. And again, what is a catalyst? Any challenging experience that you had is a catalyst. Any moment where you felt triggered to an emotion of sadness, anger, or fear counts as a catalyst for sure. There's a karmic lesson hiding within that experience for you. So write at least a few sentences on that experience just so that you can capture the essence of it. Step number 2 is to identify what emotions were brought up within you from that experience. Because again, our 3 negative emotions are the clues of exactly what kind of lesson life is trying to offer us. And we only ever feel one of 3 negative emotions: sadness, anger, or fear. This is what we talked about last week. There's many variations of these emotions, but these are the 3 root energies that the emotional body creates. So if you felt grief of some sort, that's a type of sadness. If you felt annoyance come up, that's a type of anger. So again, it takes practice to identify exactly what the emotion is, but with just a little bit of repetition, you get a feel for this pretty quickly. Now, you may feel many emotions, multiple emotions come up from a single experience, and that's very typical. So you're just going to write down in the space below the order in which you felt each emotion. So for example, if you felt a lot of sadness come up first, And then over the course of a few minutes, it morphed into some anger and resentment or whatever. Then you're just going to write 1, sadness, 2, anger. Step number 3 is the 3 beliefs. So this is where you're going to apply what we learned last week to the Catalyst Journal. As we discussed, each one of those 3 negative emotions represents one of the 3 beliefs of the ego. So, as we said, sadness represents the belief in lack. So if you wrote sadness down, then in parentheses right next to it, you're going to write lack. If you wrote down anger, in parentheses next to it, you're going to write attachment. If you wrote down fear, then in parentheses next to it, you're going to write control. And this will help you better identify the core blockage that is coming up in the next step, step number 4. So just write one short sentence that summarizes what was the blockage. What exactly was the mind feeling it was lacking? Lacking approval, lacking acceptance, lacking love, whatever. What was the outcome the mind was attached to? Or what was the mind trying to control in that situation? The 4th and final step is to take your whole experience through 2 basic questions. And these 2 questions are the first 2 disciplines of the personality from the Law of One. Know yourself and accept yourself. Know yourself is masculine healing, self-knowledge or self-awareness. Accept yourself is feminine healing, love or forgiveness of self. Some experiences in life are just asking you to love and forgive a part of yourself that you've been rejecting or judging. And this is feminine healing or gross purification, the first level of healing. Other experiences in life, though, might just be asking you to be aware of something that you're not seeing yet. And that's a form of masculine healing or subtle purification. So the 2 questions you're going to ask in step 4 are, what is this experience asking me to accept within myself? Or what is this experience asking me to be aware of within myself? Let's take a look at one practical example to see how we would write about this in our Catalyst Journal. Step number 1, write the catalyst. Step number 2, write the emotions you felt. Step number 3, identify the beliefs that were in play. Step number 4, take your catalyst through the first 2 disciplines of the personality. So let's take the example of having an argument with your partner over finances. In step number 1, you would write out the catalyst. 1. Today my partner and I got into an argument over finances. He or she spent a bunch of money on something without asking me first, and so I felt betrayed. Step number 2. What emotions did this provoke? Maybe this experience brought up anger initially, but then for the rest of the day, you felt stressed and anxious about money. So you would write number 1, anger, number 2, fear. And then in step number 3, you just write the beliefs that are associated with those emotions in the space next to them. So you would write attachment next to anger and control next to fear. Now try to identify what the attachment was and what your mind was trying to control. So in the space below, you would write something like, I feel that my anger is caused by my attachment to money. The outcome I was attached to is that my partner should never spend money without asking me first. And the stress that I felt is coming from the belief that I'm in control of my financial security. And so finally, in step number 4, you ask those 2 powerful questions. What was this experience asking me to accept within myself or to be aware of within myself? This is where you have to get quiet and listen for the higher self to reveal the answer to you in silence. So for this example, you might write something like, this catalyst is asking me to be aware of my attachment to money and setting up expectations of how my partner should behave. Ultimately, you're angry at your partner for spending money because you have an attachment to money. And for the second emotion of fear, you might write something like, this catalyst is asking me to accept and to trust that God is in control of my life and my finances. I forgive myself for my attachment to money, for being angry at my partner, and for not trusting God with my finances. So that's the essence of how this practice is done. Relatively simple, but very effective. But I want to finish by giving you one more really important point, and that is simply, why journal? I mean, come on. Do I really have to write my experiences down? Isn't it enough for me to just be aware of them as I go through them? I know that men in particular tend to be more resistant towards the idea of having a journaling practice. But I assure you that I would not be giving you this practice if I did not have firsthand experience of how enormously beneficial it is. So if you're not convinced already, here's a few more important reasons why. Studies have shown that writing something down is up to 3 times more effective at helping you remember it, which means that you're also going to understand the experience that much better as well. This universe is a university for consciousness, and the higher self is the teacher who is bringing you catalysts every single day to help you learn and grow and graduate from third density. And so what does any good student in school do? They sit in the front of the class and take lots of notes. A Course in Miracles says, "A little willingness is sufficient to enable him to use any situation for his purposes and provide it with his power." And so when you take the time to write about your life experiences every day and reflect upon the lessons that life is offering you, you are not only showing God a little willingness, but a lot of it. The universe responds powerfully to your free will. So any effort you make to know yourself and to love yourself more, it will respond to, and make sure that you gain the self-love and the self-awareness that you're looking for. Through the Catalyst Journal, you begin cooperating with the higher self, calling upon its wisdom and knowledge to illuminate your life path. And so the benefits of this practice are numerous. In a very short period of time, it will dramatically elevate your level of self-awareness, your spiritual intelligence, and it is the most powerful form of causal purification. It is a practice that cultivates devotion and surrender towards the divine. And in the Law of One, Ra describes perhaps the most important reason why utilizing Catalyst is of the utmost importance. In session 93, Ra says, "All uses of Catalyst by the mind are those consciously applied to Catalyst. Without conscious intent, the use of Catalyst is never processed through mentation, ideation, and imagination." And then in session 66, Ra says, "Catalyst is offered to the entity. If it is not used by the mind complex, it will then filter through to the body complex and manifest as some form of physical distortion. The more efficient the use of Catalyst, the less physical distortion to be found." A pretty sobering quote, to say the least. Ra is saying something very important here, that without conscious intent, a catalyst is never processed by the mind. Meaning that unless you are consciously trying and attempting to learn your life lessons, they are not being learned, period. And then in the second quote, Ra says something even more important, that since our catalysts are drawn to us through the root chakra, up through the energy centers and into the mind, if they are not seen by awareness and utilized and processed consciously, then that energy ripples through the mind into the physical body and becomes some kind of blockage or distortion. And over time, these distortions will eventually become some kind of physical illness or disease. So we could almost say that utilizing Catalyst and healing your karma is a matter of life and death, because the last line there is the key. Ra says, the more efficient the use of Catalyst, the less physical distortion or disease to be found. So if we want to be a whole, happy, and healthy being, living up to our highest potential, then we have to pay attention to our life catalysts and begin using them. And that's exactly what the Catalyst Journal is designed for. It gets you into the habit of questioning everything that happens to you and looking for the lesson within it. It opens your spiritual vision in a powerful way. There is truly no faster way to grow spiritually than this, because life is the real sadhana. Life is the real spiritual practice. And all other practices like meditation, yoga, reading spiritual literature, and so on are of course very beneficial, but they are really just for the purpose of equipping you for the real spiritual practice, which is how you are showing up in your actual life and learning from the present moment. Life truly is the supreme guru. Life is the professor in this university for consciousness that we're all attending right now. And when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When you start looking for the lessons in your life, you start finding them very quickly. And so this is the most important practice for any of us to do if we truly want to graduate from third density after this lifetime. And the third course in my 4D University curriculum is a course that is designed to facilitate the awakening of Kundalini. And in that course, I teach a number of sitting practices as well as non-sitting practices that help to activate Kundalini within the nervous system. And the number one non-sitting practice that we utilize in that course is the Catalyst Journal. We cannot place too much attention or emphasis on utilizing our life catalysts. It is causal purification or karmic healing. And so if you're serious about achieving fourth density consciousness in this lifetime, then this practice will help you get there faster than anything else will. Many thousands of people will watch this video and be inspired by this teaching, but very few will actually adopt this practice and commit to it. But those are the people who will reap the rewards. And so I truly hope that you decide to be one of those people. Now that we've covered the ascension spiral in great detail, we're going to move into the next phase of understanding spiritual intelligence, and that is through the science of Kundalini Awakening. The awakening of the Kundalini life force within us represents the dawning of true spiritual intelligence. And so we're going to have a series of episodes coming up that are focused on teaching what exactly Kundalini is, how this energy is activated in the nervous system, and what the significance of this inner transformation is for humanity. So, love and light to all of you. Be blessed, and I'll see you in our next episode. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's video. I hope that you were truly blessed by it. And I wanted to let you know that I'm really excited to now be partnering with an amazing conscious supplement company called ORGANIFI. A lot of you know that I'm also passionate about holistic health and nutrition, and ORGANIFI has been a staple in my daily health routine for a very long time. They make the most delicious, organic, and high-quality superfood products that I've ever come across. And as you know, a healthy body is a great benefit for spiritual growth, because the health of your body directly translates to the health of your mind. Everything is connected. So feeding your body with high vibrational superfoods straight from the earth is one of the best ways to create that environment for a healthy mind. But getting all the superfoods that your body needs in one day can admittedly be a little bit tough. And that is where ORGANIFI can add a ton of value to your life. I personally start every day off with green, which is ORGANIFI's really delicious blend of 11 superfoods like ashwagandha, chlorella, and moringa. And then in the middle of the day, I'll usually have a scoop of red, which is a delicious energy blend full of 13 adaptogens and antioxidants from berries to recharge your mind and body with a delicious blend of organic superfoods. Your body is an amazing organic machine, but it needs the right fuel and signals to function at its best. And red is full of adaptogens sourced from organic herbs and medicinal mushrooms. And these are compounds that balance hormones, prime your energy pathways, and alleviate stress. So instead of crushing your adrenal system with huge doses of caffeine every day, adaptogens work with your body and give you natural, sustained energy all throughout the day. What's most important to me though about ORGANIFI is the way that they go above and beyond to ensure the cleanest and purest ingredients in all of their products. They are USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, certified glyphosate-free, and absolutely zero fillers. So I never go anywhere without ORGANIFI, and I never miss a day without taking it. And ORGANIFI is offering a super generous discount of 20% off of your entire order when you use the coupon code Abke at checkout. So if you want to upgrade your health regimen with ORGANIFI, you can click on the link in the description box below to learn more about all the amazing products that they offer. And I promise you that your mind and your body are going to thank you for it.